Chain Review Print Speaking to the Blind, celebrating 40 years of audio newspaper production. Welcome to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Podcast, recorded in the Bishop Briggs Media Centre by our amazing volunteers. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter or Instagram using @QinReview. That is @CUEANDREVIEW. You can also contact us directly by emailing information@QinReview.com. That is INFORMATION@CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. That's 0141 772 3976.
The Glasgow Times, on Thursday the 2nd of November 2023. An exclusive article from the news section. Glasgow firm tells how leaky roof has left them £50,000 out of pocket. This article was written by Amanda Keenan and read by me, Corey. An exacerbated entrepreneur has told how he's been left almost £50,000 out of pocket due to a reoccurring leak that keeps bringing the roof in on his business. John Kerr, who is the managing director of VR Simulators, says he has finally reached breaking point after 6 years battling owners City Properties Glasgow Investment LLP, CPGI, for a resolution. The 38-year-old says the problem with water ingress started almost as soon as the firm moved into the listed building at 36 Gallowgate in 2017. He claims parts of the ceiling collapsed and damaged expensive equipment inside. But the incident was only the beginning of the issues, with John saying that the roof has continued to plague them with problems every year. He exclusively told the Glasgow Times, "It has been a nightmare since day one, and it shows no signs of ending. From the minute we moved in, the building hasn't been properly watertight. I've reached the end of my tether and want this to be resolved once and for all. We pay our rent and rates on time, yet our business is being impacted every time this happens. Enough is enough." John says that the problems resurface as soon as wet wintry weather begins to bite, and has accused City Property of not trying hard enough to find a proper fix. He explained, "Every year around October, or when we have the first big storm, the ceiling comes down in, or around the same spot, and often causes damage to our equipment. We've moved the simulators away from the area that's impacted, but it means we're constantly operating with one or more machines down. It's absurd that this has been going on for so long, and it is still happening." Repeated floods and damage to the expensive VR simulators, which provide users with an immersive 5D car racing experience, have left the business badly out of pocket. John estimates that repairs and lost takings due to enforced closures have mounted to losses of almost £50,000 since the business launched. He explained, "It has been an expensive carry-on. I just don't feel the impact to us as a business has been taken seriously. It is one of our busiest times with festive bookings, yet every year, instead of it being prosperous, you're always looking at the weather forecasts, wondering if there's going to be a downpour that is going to put a simulator out of action or force us into a temporary shutdown. Every time that happens, we lose further revenue and it hits us hard in the pocket. Repair bills have easily surpassed £25,000 over the years, and we've probably lost the same sum again in cancelled bookings and enforced closures. No business could go on like that. It has an impact on insurance premiums and other running costs too." The last repair involved the installation of tarpaulin sheet to catch any rainfall in crumbling concrete, which has become saturated due to the continued water ingress. John said, The repair is basically a glorified industrial bin bag. It's a farce to think that someone would consider that it would remedy a problem that is obviously a serious structural flaw. The businessman claims City Property carried out an inspection last week, after another flood which, again, brought part of the ceiling down in a corner of his premises. He explained this involved them surveying the floor above us, and their team didn't even visit our site. They sent me an email claiming there was no signs of water ingress, which is just ridiculous when we have a ceiling that has come down. I could look for another venue for VR simulators, but I don't see why we should be forced to move. We have a good going business, we've spent all the cash wiring it up and installing the technology, and the location is good with parking nearby and links to public transport. We don't want to move. We just want this fixed once and for all. A spokesperson for City Property Glasgow Investments LLP, CPGI, who owns the property, said they will action further repairs to try and finally resolve the problem. They added, "We are aware of the water ingress at 36 Glasgow Gate and understand our tenants' frustration. The issue has previously been repaired, however, over time this repair is proving less effective. Following the most recent concerns raised by VR simulators, our senior building services manager visited the property on Tuesday, reviewed the recent ingress and spoke to the tenant. We have now agreed further remedial works which are intended to commence within a few weeks. We will continue to support and communicate with the tenant and work towards a solution." That article was from the Glasgow Times. It was an exclusive article by Amanda Keenan, and it was read by me, Corey. The Glasgow Times, on Thursday the 2nd of November 2023. From the news section. Man who issued racial abuse on Glasgow bus had no memory of incident. An article written by Connor Gordon and read by me, Corey. A man who hurled racist abuse on a bus before spitting at a police officer avoided jail. Jamie Rowan, 31, made the horrible remarks in Glasgow city centre on the 23rd of April 2022. Rowan referred to other passengers as black B-words and refused to get off the bus when ordered to by the driver. He went on to spit towards a police officer who had attended before making abusive comments towards them. Rowan pleaded guilty on Wednesday at Glasgow Sheriff Court to behaving in a threatening or abusive manner. Sheriff Joan Core put Rowan on a community payback order at sentencing as an alternative to custody. Rowan was ordered to do 180 hours of unpaid work and put under supervision for 18 months. The court heard that Rowan got on the bus while drunk with 8 to 10 other passengers on board. Prosecutor Jessica McGowan stated that Rowan shouted words such as Mongo before being racially abusive. She added the driver formed the view that the racial abuse was referring to the colour of skin of some of the passengers on the bus. The bus was then stopped and Rowan was noted to be lying down. The driver was met with verbal abuse by Rowan when he was asked to leave. Other passengers were then asked to leave for their own safety. Police arrived shortly after when Rowan's racist behaviour continued. Rowan fell to his feet when getting off the bus and later put in handcuffs. Miss McGowan said, during a conversation to identify himself, Rowan spat towards the upper body of PC Dawson. Rowan continued to shout abuse and threats at the police, which resulted in him not being formally charged. Neil Kilcoyne, defending, told the court he was extremely intoxicated and has absolutely no memory of events due to this. The lawyer added that Rowan has gained employment at Open Gates, which supports prisoners and ex-prisoners through an employment and training programme. That article was from the Glasgow Times. It was written by Connor Gordon and it was read by me, Corey.
This is from the Glasgow Times on Thursday the 2nd of November 2023. From the Lifestyle section. Shower revealed as dirtiest place in bathroom. How to clean. This article is written by Rebecca Carey. The dirtiest place in your bathroom has been revealed, and it's not what many people would expect it to be. You will be forgiven for thinking that the toilet is the dirtiest spot in your bathroom, but it's apparently not the case at all. A team of cleaning experts has debunked this myth and has revealed who the worst culprit actually is. Your shower space, including the tray and curtain, is reportedly the dirtiest place in your bathroom, according to cleaning expert Sarah Dempsey at myjobquote.co.uk. So why is the shower the dirtiest place in your bathroom? Sarah explained, a lot goes on in your shower. All of the dirt that you wash off yourself while showering ends up hitting the shower tray. In addition, most people will shave in the shower, and some people brush their teeth in the shower, and more people than you may think actually urinate in the shower. This results in a collection of bacteria on the shower tray and shower curtain, making them the dirtiest areas of the bathroom. If you're now doing mental calculations and wondering the last time you gave your shower a deep clean, the cleaning expert has got your back. Sarah Dempsey has shared a comprehensive broken-down guide on the key steps for cleaning your shower tray and curtain, the all-important supplies you'll need, and how often you should be doing so. How to clean a shower tray. Cleaning your shower tray is actually easier than you may think, and you can do it with a few kitchen essentials, according to the myjobquote.co.uk expert. Here's what you'll need to clean your shower tray. Half a cup of baking soda, half a cup of white vinegar, the juice of a lemon, a small bowl, a soft cleaning sponge or cloth, another soft cloth for drying. The cleaning expert also shared 7 key steps to follow when cleaning your shower tray. Start by mixing the baking soda and white vinegar in your small bowl. They will then start to fizz. Add the juice of a lemon to the bowl to make your shower smell nice. Spread the mixture over the shower tray and give it a minute or so to take effect. Then, use a soft, non-abrasive sponge or cloth to scrub the shower tray, working in circular motions. After scrubbing, allow the mixture to rest again for another minute or so. Then, rinse off any of the remaining mixture with warm water. Pat the shower tray dry with a clean, dry cloth. How often should I clean my shower tray? Sarah recommends cleaning your shower tray with this cleaning method weekly to ensure it's always sparkling clean. How to clean a shower curtain. The Cleaning Pro has explained 2 methods for cleaning your shower curtain, including how to do it with a washing machine and by hand. Cleaning your shower curtain in the washing machine. In most cases you can wash a shower curtain in the washing machine, Sarah notes. Follow these steps to wash your shower curtain in the washing machine. Take the curtain down and remove the hooks if necessary. Place your shower curtain in the washing machine. Add a couple of bath towels into the washing machine with the shower curtain. This will help scrub the dirt and grime from the shower curtain and will prevent it from wrinkling. It will also prevent it from sticking to itself and tearing. Add laundry detergent, use the usual amount for a typical wash cycle, and half a cup of baking soda. Run the washing machine on a gentle, warm setting. Once the cycle is over, hang the shower curtain back up and allow it to dry naturally. Hand washing a shower curtain. When hand washing your shower curtain, you won't need to remove it from its position. The cleaning guru recommends these 4 steps when hand washing it. Add some water to a microfiber cloth and wring it out. Then sprinkle a layer of baking soda over the cloth. Use this cloth to scrub the entire curtain. Focus on patches of dirt and grime. If there are any set-in stains, leave these for later. Dampen a new microfiber cloth with warm water. Use this to scrub all of the baking soda and water off the shower curtain. You may need to rinse the cloth and repeat the process. Continue this until no baking soda remains. It's now time to work on the tougher stains. Grab the damp cloth and sprinkle baking soda over it. Then focus on scrubbing any set-in stains or spots of mildew. Use another clean cloth and dampen this with warm water. Use this to rinse the shower curtain and make sure you remove all of the traces of baking soda. And how often should I clean my shower curtain? It's best to give your shower curtain a good cleaning every week or so to prevent mould and bacteria from building up on it, according to the myjobquote.co.uk expert. That article was written by Rebecca Carey.
From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 3rd of November, from the news section, Glasgow police car rammed during chase with a stolen vehicle. Article by Nicole Mitchell. 2 people are due to appear in court following a police chase involving a stolen car. The incident occurred after a Range Rover was allegedly stolen from the Springburn area yesterday evening in a keyless theft. The car was spotted by road policing officers in the city's East End a short time later, where it failed to stop, resulting in a pursuit involving a forced car and helicopter. The following police vehicle was left damaged after it was allegedly reverse-rammed by the Range Rover several times in an attempt to get away. The vehicle was later abandoned and 2 occupants attempted to flee the scene on foot. However, they were caught by officers with the help of the helicopter. According to reports on social media, much of the activity took place around the Mount Vernon Avenue area. 2 men, aged 33 and 39, have been arrested and charged in connection with the incident. They are due to appear at Glasgow Sheriff Court on Friday, November the 3rd. There were no reports of any injuries. And that article was by Nicole Mitchell. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 3rd of November, from the news section, breaking news, Hamza Yousaf's in-laws permitted to leave Palestine's Gaza. Report by Morgan Carmichael. The in-laws of Scottish First Minister Hamza Yousaf have been granted permission to leave Gaza, according to a list published by the Palestinian Border Authority. Elizabeth and Majid El Nakla, from Dundee, have been named among 92 British nationals who will be permitted to pass through the Rafah border crossing into Egypt. The couple travelled to Gaza to visit family prior to the conflict erupting and have been trapped there since. Hamza Yousaf's wife, Nadia El Nakla, has reported that her parents were without clean drinking water and faced rapidly diminishing supplies. On Wednesday, the First Minister welcomed the opening of the Rafah crossing, which allowed people to leave Gaza, but at the time his in-laws were not among those permitted to do so. The list published overnight by the Palestinian Border Authority said those named on it must be present at 7 a.m. in the outdoor halls of the crossing to facilitate their travel. Nearly 100 British citizens are expected to leave Gaza for Egypt. And that report was by Morgan Carmichael. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 3rd of November, from the news section, thousands of reports of rat sightings rise in Glasgow. Article by Stuart Patterson. Reports of rat sightings in Glasgow have gone up by more than 2,000 in the last 5 years. Official data from Glasgow City Council shows that in the last year there were almost 8,000 reports, more than 150 a week. The rodent spottings are divided into those sighted inside homes and outside homes, and both have increased. In total, there were 7,948 reports of rats in 2022-23. It is an increase of 46% from 2018-19, when there were 5,348. The number of rats reported in living areas has gone up by 32%, from 1,279 to 1,690 over the same period, while the number reported outside or in a non-living area increased by 26% from 4,159 to 6,258. The information was obtained by Scottish Conservative MSP Annie Wells. She said, "The steep rise in these reports exposes the disgraceful state that parts of the city have been allowed to fall into. We are now at the stage where more than 20 people every single day are contacting the council about this. No one is pretending these things can be eliminated altogether, but this stark increase tells its own story. Rat infestations aren't just frightening and unpleasant for families, they pose a very real health risk too. Both the council and the Scottish Government need to step up and take meaningful action to finally address what is fast becoming a crisis." A Glasgow City Council spokesperson said, "Issues with pest control are being experienced across the UK, and it is widely understood that rats became more visible in residential areas due to the COVID lockdowns as they went in search of food. We monitor closely the reports received by our pest control team, and we are working hard on how we can best address the circumstances reflected in these current figures. There are many factors that can influence a rat population, but, ultimately, rats will thrive in places where there is easy access to food and a place to rest. Residents, owners and factors therefore have a vital role in restricting the presence of rodents in and around their property. Keeping outdoor areas tidy and well maintained will help to prevent rodents from nestling, while ensuring food waste is properly contained will also deter rodents both indoors and outdoors. The council runs a pest control service and is always open to householders to approach a private contractor." That article was by Stuart Patterson.
Glasgow Times News on Monday the 6th of November. Council to rent 330 petrol cars. An article written by Sarah Healy. Council bosses have decided to rent 330 petrol cars for £1.5 million, sparking a question over why they're not using electric cars despite net zero targets. Councillors signed off a deal for the council to lease the cars for 2 years for health and social care staff to use. The vehicles are all to be LEZ compliant, with 17 automatics and 313 manuals to be ordered. Currently, the staff have been using some vehicles which are not LEZ compliant. But an official confirmed they had enough LEZ compliant cars available, so staff could drive in the zone when needed. Speaking at the Council's Contracts and Property Committee last week, Councillor Stephen Curran asked about the timing of the new order, pointing out the low emission zone was given as a reason, but that came into force months ago. The Labour councillor said, "The commitment to reduce emissions and net zero commitment are mentioned, yet it's all petrol-operated vehicles that appear to be in this contract. And it's up to 23 weeks in terms of the delivery of the vehicles as well. They're not arriving quickly. Why is it being presented to us today in this way?" A council official said more work has to be done to ensure that there is enough infrastructure to charge electric vehicles. He said staff have been working closely with the health and social care teams to understand their needs, which has taken a lengthy time. He said they currently use 24 electric vehicles, which are being monitored, but there are a number of issues, including where the cars are to be stored. He said, "Currently, we do not have the infrastructure in place at the locations required. Throughout this 2-year period, we'll work closely alongside the Health and Social Care Partnership to better understand that and engage with the market to further understand what is available to ensure we can meet electric vehicle range abilities." He said we had sufficient numbers of vehicles to enable health and social care staff to enter the low-emission zone, which came into force in June. But he admitted it would have been ideal to have the whole fleet ready, and he said the delay was down to better understanding of health and social care team requirements. Currently, the team uses 401 vehicles, 209 are hired, while 192 are supplied from the council's aged fleet. The 192 vehicles are to be sold off or disposed of. The 209 hired vehicles are being replaced through the new contract. The new vehicles have an improved Euro 6 engine, which cuts down on emissions, according to a council report. Overall, Glasgow City Council has a fleet of 1,600 vehicles. A council report said, Concurrent with the need to replace the fleet is the need to make a fundamental step change in vehicle emissions and to lead in the adoption of low-carbon alternative fuels. The current fleet has an aged profile that is not ideal for the demands of changing operational requirements and needs to be replaced with modern vehicles that will comply with the low-emission zone, which was introduced in Glasgow on June the 1st. An article written by Sarah Hilly. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 6th of November. First Minister Humza Yousaf's in-laws return after fleeing Gaza. An article written by Morgan Carmichael. The in-laws of First Minister Humza Yousaf have arrived in Scotland after fleeing the conflict in the Gaza Strip. Mr Yousaf shared a family photograph on X, formerly known as Twitter, which included his wife Nadia and her parents Elizabeth and Maguette El Nakla. The El Naklas from Dundee were named among 92 British nationals permitted to pass through the Rafah border crossing into Egypt on Friday morning. They became trapped in the Middle Eastern territory where they had been visiting relatives when the conflict with Israel erupted. Writing on X, the First Minister said, "I'm pleased to say my in-laws are safe and back home. We are, of course, elated, but my father-in-law said, my heart is broken in two with my mum, son and grandchildren in Gaza." He then broke down telling me how hard it was saying goodbye to them. In the photo shared by Mr Yousaf, his daughters Amal, 4, and Maya, 14, surround their grandparents. Mr Yousaf previously revealed that his brother-in-law is a doctor who is treating the wounded in Gaza. The family who remains in Gaza includes the First Minister's wife's elderly grandmother. On Friday, Mr Yousaf told the PA news agency his family shed a few tears on hearing that the El Naklas had safely crossed the border. He said he had called his 14-year-old stepdaughter during her school break, adding, "That was a really special moment, being able to phone my eldest. We both shed a few tears, and she's just elated and really happy. She's been exceptionally worried. My 4-year-old, we can protect her to an extent, but my 14-year-old Maya knows everything, watches everything, and it's been hugely distressing for her." Mr Yousaf continues to call for a ceasefire, as he argues that a humanitarian pause would not be an acceptable response to thousands of men, women and children being killed. An article written by Morgan Carmichael. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 6th of November. Concern that George Square redesign could affect events. An article written by Stuart Patterson. Plans for a George Square redesign could have implications for one of the city's most important events, according to an MSP. As revealed in the Glasgow Times last month, the council is about to consult the public about a revamp of the square. This will involve moving the statues of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert from the west side to the east side, outside the city chambers. It will also see a raised grass area in front of the cenotaph, accessed by steps. Paul Sweeney, Glasgow Labour MSP, has said he's concerned it will affect the annual Remembrance Sunday parade held in the square every November. Currently, armed forces and other organisations gather their ranks in front of the cenotaph during the service, where the grass area is planned. Also, after the service, they parade from the square in front of the city chambers, where the Lord Provost takes the salute. Mr Sweeney said while there are aspects of the redesign he sees merit in, he wonders if the Remembrance Service has been given due consideration. He said, "I'm seriously concerned whether this has been thought through." He's concerned that moving the large equestrian statues of Victoria and Albert to the front of the city chambers will block the traditional parade route. The annual Remembrance Sunday service and Veterans Parade will take place on November the 12th this year. The redesign plans are not final and will be open for consultation and comments from the public once the planning application has been received. While Mr Sweeney said the proposal was better than some previous plans that didn't come to fruition, there are points to raise. The west side of the square is often where political and protest events take place. Mr Sweeney wants to be sure that this can still be the case. He also said there is an opportunity for a permanent platform area that can be used to prevent the need for temporary mobile stages being brought in. He added, the city uses the square as a democratic space. There is always something going on. He suggested something like the Queen's Park Arena that can be used as a public speaking area. The council has said that the opinions of people throughout the engagement process of recent years have helped shape the proposal. On the Remembrance Service, a spokesperson added that while it is too early to be specific, it could offer opportunities and would be up for discussion. For example, it's been noted that the participants could gather all around the raised area, which itself will give a more prominent position to the crosses and poppy wreaths. A spokesperson said, the new positioning of the Victoria and Albert statues close to the cenotaph may provide the opportunity for an improved march route. An article written by Stuart Patterson. Glasgow Times News on Monday, the 6th of November. Man hits out over construction waste. An exclusive front-page article written by Morgan Carmichael. A man has called the city a dump after hitting out over the amount of frightening construction waste on pavements. Colin Mann Clark from Knightswood told the Glasgow Times he's been bothered by the discarding of plastic barriers, sandbags and cones over the last few years, which he said were a safety concern for those with disabilities and an issue for the city's image. The 50-year-old said, if I drive to work from Knightswood Cross to St George's Cross, I see construction waste just discarded everywhere. Building sites are just fly-tipping and leaving all their contraflow equipment without picking it up. That's probably why we have cones on the heads of statues, because companies aren't taking their mess with them. Glasgow has become a dump because of this. It's frightening. It's easier to see a cone than a packet of crisps, so why is there no focus on clearing it up? Mr Mann Clark has slammed Glasgow City Council for not caring about clearing the contraflow items. He stated that the council has been a sham, leaving him to wonder why the public is even paying council tax. He added, no one in Glasgow City Council cares. They're a sham when it comes to this matter. I've contacted the council about it, and it's the same rhetoric every time. They say that they care, but they don't. It's a total farce. The council and the government are not being socially responsible, and with tourism in the city, I don't know why they don't care. We pay council tax, but the council can't even perform basic services. Colin has also claimed that the council's app, My Glasgow, which allows members of the public to report litter in the city, does not work efficiently. He said, the app simply doesn't work. I've used it before, and I had confirmation about a week later saying that the waste has been lifted, and I went to check it out myself, and it hasn't been lifted. Someone is lying, and I've got evidence of that. Responding to the allegations, a Glasgow City Council spokesperson said, organisations with the authority to undertake roadworks are expected to remove all equipment from their worksite when they're finished, including traffic management equipment. We do random checks on worksites to ensure organisations are removing equipment and materials properly. If a failure to remove equipment and materials is identified, it will be reported to the relevant organisation. If discarded equipment is reported to us, we will arrange to have it removed if we cannot identify the traffic management company or the parent company responsible. Colin also believes the lack of labelling on construction materials is part of the problem. He said, when companies don't label their equipment, it means they get away with leaving their stuff around. It's not a big ask. There was a company which left a load of their stuff around in St George's Cross, and I had to phone them about 3 to 4 times to get the matter sorted. As the public, we shouldn't need to worry about that. Colin has been working closely on the matter with Willie Rennie, the former leader of the Scottish Liberal Democrats. Mr Rennie said, Colin has been rightly dogged in his pursuit of councils and national bodies for their lax approach to the recovery of their signage and waste following the completion of roadworks. I've backed Colin and have asked difficult questions of those councils and transport bodies. There is little doubt that they are responsible for the large amount of legal fly-tipping, which is unsightly and sometimes dangerous. An exclusive front-page article written by Morgan Carmichael. Glasgow Times on Monday, the 6th of November. Lifestyle. Glasgow teen scared of singing lands a role with West End stars. An exclusive article written by Anne Fotheringham. Christy Bullock-Walker is not at all fazed by the thought of choreographing one of Glasgow's biggest musical theatre shows. The 18-year-old, who is a student at Hamilton Theatre Arts in the West End, will be putting 70 children and young people through their paces at the Movies to Musicals 10th Anniversary Spectacular at the SEC Armadillo. They'll be sharing the stage with West End and Broadway stars such as Kerry Ellis and Sabrina Carter of Wicked fame and Les Miserables legend John Owen Jones. It's a long way from her first tentative steps into musical theatre. As an anxious 12-year-old, she agrees. When I see how far I've come, it makes me feel really grateful for everything Movies to Musicals has done for me, she says. I suffer from anxiety, and I was always really scared of singing, though I love to dance. Everyone at Movies to Musicals makes you feel confident and safe. We're like a big family. And to get the chance to perform alongside big West End and Broadway stars is really special. Glasgow's Movies to Musicals, which gives children and young people from all backgrounds the chance to perform in top venues with stars of stage and screen, was founded by Glasgow Philharmonia conductor Ross Gunning in 2014. It's produced a string of sellout shows ever since and recently wowed judges and viewers alike on ITV's Britain's Got Talent. Around 2,000 young people have come through its doors during the last decade. Its patrons include former EastEnders actor John Partridge and West End director Sam Hillier, and special guests over the years have included Faye Tozer from Steps and River City star Gail Telfer-Stevens. Its 10th anniversary show at the Armadillo on February the 17th next year will also include a 22-piece orchestra and a 100-strong choir. Ross, who runs Movies to Musicals on top of his full-time day job as an events manager, said, "It's crazy that we're celebrating 10 years. It's gone by so quickly. I'm really proud of what we have achieved. No one else does what we do. We are the company putting Scotland at the forefront of musical theatre." He adds, "It's about so much more too. Many of the young people who come to us struggle with confidence, and we're really proud of the fact we provide a safe and open place for everyone to just be themselves. And seeing the growth in some of these children, like Christy for example, watching them become dancers, singers and actors, is what keeps me doing this. It's hard, especially trying to find funding, but I absolutely love it." Christy, who is from Bishopbriggs, plans to move to London after she graduates. "I want to go for it," she says determinedly. "I know it will be hard, but my training and my experience in Movies to Musicals has really helped prepare me. Who knows what will happen, but I want to try. I can't wait." The Movies to Musicals 10th anniversary show is at the SEC Armadillo on February the 17th next year. Tickets are available from the SEC website. An exclusive article written by Anne Fotheringham. Glasgow Times on Monday the 6th of November. Lifestyle. Glastonbury Festival 2024 headliner rumours are untrue. An article written by Katie Collier. Emily Evis, co-organiser of the Glastonbury Festival, has said media speculation claiming that the festival's headliners have been confirmed is untrue. Reports on Saturday evening alleged that Madonna, Dua Lipa and Coldplay would be the festival's next headliners for June 2024. However, Ms Evis put the claims to bed in an Instagram post on Sunday morning, as she said that the lineup is still changing every day. Festival goers can expect some news on who will take to the Pyramid stage in 2024, sometime in the new year, she said. Ms Evis wrote, "As always, there is much speculation and excitement about who is playing at Glastonbury. We are working on the lineup day and night at the moment, but it's still changing every day. The story about our confirmed headliners is untrue. As always, we love your enthusiasm and guesswork, but accurate news on headliners will be with you sometime in the new year. Ms Eavis recently said on the BBC podcast Sidetracked that the lineup for the 2024 festival, taking place from June the 26th to June the 30th, is still a little bit up in the air, but she hopes there will be 2 female headliners. She also revealed that a major female artist has been booked for the Legend slot, but didn't disclose who it is. Following customers reporting issues with their registration for tickets, the festival decided to push back the ticket sale by 2 weeks. They were supposed to become available last Thursday and on Sunday morning. In a bid to prevent touting, people have to register in advance to get tickets for the 5-day event, with the application deadline previously closing on Monday, October the 30th. Hours before the first batch of ticket sales, organisers said some fans had claimed they were not made aware that their registrations had expired, and out of fairness to them, the sale was being delayed. Registration has been reopened until November the 13th at 5 p.m. Tickets for the festival will now be available to buy on Thursday, November the 16th, for tickets plus coach, and on Sunday, November the 19th, for general admission. The festival apologised for the late change to the sale dates and urged those interested in buying a ticket to check their registration. Those who successfully secure tickets will be charged £355 plus a £5 booking fee for standard tickets, and an additional fee will be added for the coach transfer. When buying tickets, music fans will need to pay a £75 deposit, with the balance due by the first week of April. Next year's tickets have increased by £20 from the 2023 prices, which cost £335 plus a £5 booking fee, after a £55 price rise from 2022's £285. This year's festival saw the Arctic Monkeys top the bill on the Pyramid stage on Friday, US rockers Guns N' Roses on Saturday, and Sir Elton John on Sunday night. Cat Stevens, now known as Yusuf, performed in the Tea Time Legend slot on Sunday afternoon, followed by classic rock outfit Blondie. An article written by Katie Collier. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 6th of November. Lowest paid workers to benefit from new pay offer. An article written by Nicole Mitchell. Hundreds of the lowest paid workers are expected to benefit from the most recent COSLA pay offer in time for Christmas, following the ongoing industrial dispute. The GMB and Unite unions previously voted to accept a settlement made on September the 21st that would see early years workers, catering, cleansing and janitorial staff benefit from an increase of £1 and 4p per hour. They also accepted a minimum increase of £1 per hour for their colleagues. But the Unison union advised its members to reject the offer, which resulted in the further closure of schools again last week. Now a final £17.2 million to get a package worth more than £500 million over the line has been tabled by COSLA. It will increase the wages of the lowest paid employees by £2,000 a year. The organisation says members of the GMB and Unite unions will receive a backdated pay rise in time for Christmas, but Unison still needs to decide whether or not to agree to the new offer and suspend the upcoming strike action this month. A statement issued by COSLA read, "After intensive talks, the Scottish Government has identified a mechanism to underwrite limited additional one-off funding, which can meet the extra demands of Unison. This will now allow councils to put additional funding into the offer, allowing all elements of the current offer to be backdated. Leaders recognise the importance of getting money into the pockets of our workforce as early as possible, and today's decisions will hopefully make that possible. Given that an extremely strong offer was made to our trade unions back in April and then revised in September, it's disappointing that reaching an agreement has taken so long. But the priority of leaders today is ensuring that nobody is left out of pocket ahead of the winter period, especially given the ongoing pressures of the cost of living crisis. We call on Unison to put the decision of leaders today to their members and give the workforce the chance to decide. In doing so, we would very much hope that they stand down all strike action to ensure our children and young people experience no further disruption. The GMB union, which issued a plea for a settlement to be reached last week, is hopeful that the money will reach its members in time for Christmas. Chris Mitchell, GMB convener, said, "This is brilliant news today, and COSLA is going to put money into the banks of our members. It's been a lot of hard work and campaigning over the last couple of weeks to get this result. It's a sigh of relief for hundreds of low-paid workers that were depending on this backdated money." Unison has been approached for comment. An article written by Nicole Mitchell. Glasgow Times News on Monday, the 6th of November. Police and fire crews attacked in Glasgow's bonfire night chaos. An article written by Rebecca Newlands. A senior police officer has hit out at disgusting violence in Glasgow on bonfire night while firefighters were bombarded by attacks. The force says it dealt with unprecedented levels of chaos on Sunday, November the 5th. Two groups of youths began fighting and throwing fireworks at each other in the Quarrywood Avenue area of Bamulach. 8 police officers were injured overall while carrying out operations in both Glasgow and Edinburgh as part of Operation Moonbeam, which was first launched in 2018 to combat similar violence experienced on bonfire night the previous year. Assistant Chief Constable Tim Mayers, Gold Commander for Operation Moonbeam, said, "The overwhelming majority of Scotland enjoyed bonfire night safely and responsibly, but once again a minority of individuals have been responsible for an unacceptable and frankly disgusting level of disorder that left communities alarmed and police officers injured. We took learning from last year's operation and enhanced the level of public order resources available to local policing divisions to ensure we could get these assets into locations they were needed quicker, providing a more robust response to criminal incidents. The lower levels of disorder experienced in other parts of the country demonstrates that this approach was the correct one. Our partnership work ensured that there was a reduction in damage to public property and that overall the emergency services and wider communities were better protected." Meanwhile, the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service has hit out after their crews experienced 9 attacks on bonfire night. They received more than 892 calls from the public and sent firefighters to approximately 355 bonfires across the country between 3:30 p.m. and midnight. While no firefighters were injured, one fire appliance had its windscreen smashed by a brick during a call in West Lothian. Assistant Chief Officer Andy Watt said, "Attacks on our firefighters are completely unacceptable. Our staff should be able to carry out their role without being attacked. It's disappointing that people have tried to hurt firefighters and have damaged our appliances. This type of behaviour not only prevents our crews from bringing any emergency to a safe and swift conclusion, but it can impact on our emergency services colleagues, including the police, when they are supporting us on scene to ensure the safety of our personnel. We thank our emergency service partners, Police Scotland, for their continued assistance, and we will continue to work in partnership with them to identify those responsible. This type of behaviour is, of course, carried out by a small minority within society, and we once again thank our communities for their continuing support and working together with us to stay safe." A small number of arrests were made on Sunday, but investigations have since been launched and dedicated teams are now working on them. It's anticipated that police will make more arrests in the next few days. Assistant Chief Constable Mayers continued, "Investigations into the offences that arose throughout Scotland on Sunday evening are continuing, and we will make every effort to ensure anyone who was involved is identified and brought to justice. If any members of the public believe they have information that can assist our inquiries, then please contact us via 101 or make an anonymous report to Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. Police Scotland officers were subjected to unprecedented levels of violence, and yet they continued to demonstrate professionalism and dedication to keeping communities safe. I am both proud of and grateful to all of those who were on duty and put themselves in harm's way to protect the public during this very challenging time. Assistant Chief Officer Watt added, "Bonfire night is traditionally one of the busiest nights of the year. We put a huge amount of planning and preparation into this evening with local partners and other emergency services in order to protect communities, which is always our top priority. I'd like to pay tribute to the professionalism and resilience of our frontline personnel, our operations control staff and our support staff who have shown incredible commitment over this busy period. Their dedication has allowed us to continue to protect communities throughout Scotland on Bonfire Night." An article written by Rebecca Newlands. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 6th of November. Pubs to stay open until 1 a.m. to boost the late-night economy. An article written by Drew Sandylance. Glasgow city centre bars will be able to stay open for an extra hour under a 1-year trial in a bid to boost the late-night economy. Pubs and bars currently have to shut at midnight, but a 1-year pilot scheme is being launched to test 1 a.m. licences. SNP councillors pushed for the change ahead of the city's licensing board unveiling its new policy statement for the next 5 years. The statement includes the 12-month pilot for later pub openings, a move which has been welcomed by council leader Susan Aitken, who hopes it can give many businesses a shot in the arm following the pandemic. If the trial is successful and the change is made permanent, it would bring Glasgow city centre's opening times in line with Edinburgh's. Councillor Aitken said, "The richness, diversity and vibrancy of Glasgow's hospitality and nighttime offer is internationally recognised, but there's no doubt it's had a tough time in recent years. The impact of the pandemic has been existential for many in the sector, and combined with the impact of the cost of living crisis and rampant inflation and the very real consequences of Brexit, it's safe to say that hospitality probably hasn't faced a set of pressures like this in generations. Extending pub hours to 1 a.m. can, I hope, give many businesses a shot in the arm and encourage more people to come into the city centre in the knowledge that they can in turn extend their evening out." She added, "A 1-year pilot will allow the city and the trade to decide whether there is the market demand for an extra hour, but also if there are any impacts on public health and antisocial behaviour." When the SNP first called for the extension, some industry figures doubted whether it was required. A subgroup set up by the city's licensing forum reported that the change would not necessarily have the benefit of contributing to the late-night economy, as there are increasing costs and staffing issues experienced by those in the public house trade. It added existing transport provision and times of services within the city centre would not support an extension of terminal hours for city centre public houses to 1 a.m. The Licensing Board's policy statement outlines a list of criteria that bars applying for the 1 a.m. licence would be required to adhere to, while also urging licensees to recognise the need for staff who work late to get home safely. This pilot scheme comes shortly after a trial of 4 a.m. licences for nightclubs in the city centre was made permanent. An article written by Drew Sandylance. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 6th of November. Strathclyde University workers to strike over pay dispute. An article written by Morgan Carmichael. Unite has today announced that around 400 members employed at the University of Strathclyde will take strike action. The Strathclyde workers will strike from Monday, November the 6th until Friday, November the 10th as part of a UK-wide pay dispute. Unite's members involved in the pay dispute include technicians, cleaners, security officers and janitors. The vast majority of Unite's members in further and higher education across Scotland have had a 5 to 6% pay offer imposed on them by the Universities and Colleges Employers Association pay body. However, despite local negotiations with the University of Strathclyde to secure an improved pay deal, Unite confirmed that insufficient progress has been made to avert the latest round of strike action. This follows the previous rounds of strike action at the university on September the 13th, 14th, 15th, 18th and 19th, and also on October the 5th and 6th. Unite General Secretary Sharon Graham said, "For years our members in further and higher education have been underpaid. Members at Strathclyde University are determined to get a decent pay offer which they fully deserve. Unite is fully supporting our Strathclyde members in their fight for better jobs, pay and conditions." Unite Regional Officer Alison McLean added, "Strathclyde University could have sorted this pay dispute a long time ago, but they have chosen not to. This latest round of strike action will cause a whole week of disruption to students and staff during graduation week. Our members have been left with no other choice but to take a stand because the University and College Employers Association and the university have deliberately put in place roadblocks despite our efforts to sort this dispute through negotiations. Unite has been prepared to undertake local talks in an effort to resolve a national dispute, but there has been insufficient progress made to avert this latest round of strike action. We urge those who control the university's purse strings to make an improved pay offer before this dispute escalates even further." An article written by Morgan Carmichael. Glasgow Times World News on Monday the 6th of November. Thousands sleep in the cold after earthquake. An article issued by the Glasgow Times news desk. Thousands of villagers in the mountains of northwestern Nepal slept outdoors on Saturday night in the bitter cold after an earthquake killed at least 157 people and damaged or destroyed most homes. Most of the houses in villages in Jajakot district either collapsed or were severely damaged by the sudden quake on Friday night. The few concrete houses in towns were also damaged. "We are waiting to cremate the bodies of our villagers and have been trying to take care of the people who were injured in the earthquake," said Lal Bahadur Bika, a resident of Chiori village, pointing to 13 bodies wrapped in white cloth awaiting cremation yesterday morning. Most houses in Chiori village collapsed. People used whatever they could find to set up shelter for the night, using plastic sheets and old clothes to keep themselves warm. Most people have been unable to retrieve their belongings from under the rubble. Most of those killed were crushed by debris when their houses, usually made by stacking rocks and logs, crumbled under the force of the earthquake, local media reported. While rescuers were scrambling to rush in aid, operations were hampered by the fact that many of the mountainous villages could only be reached on foot. Roads were also blocked by landslides triggered by the earthquake. Soldiers could be seen trying to clear the blocked roads. Besides aid, rescuers were focused on finding survivors. Local television aired footage of troops recovering bodies, while others helped dig out and carry the injured. The United States Geological Survey said the earthquake had a preliminary magnitude of 5.6 on the Richter scale and occurred at a depth of 11 miles, or 18 kilometres. An article issued by the Glasgow Times news desk.
This is from the Glasgow Times of Tuesday the 7th of November from the news section. SWG3 wins award for using body heat as an energy source. This article is by Taylor Murray. A Glasgow venue using dancers' body heat to create sustainable energy was among those honoured at the city's prestigious Best Bar None Awards. SWG3, based in Glasgow's West End, was presented with the BBN Glasgow Sustainability Award in recognition of its innovative approach to heating and cooling its premises. The independent arts venue was among one of 71 pubs, clubs and specialist entertainment venues across Glasgow honoured at a presentation ceremony in Glasgow's Grand Central Hotel on November the 1st. In addition to its innovative energy system, SWG3 also employs a full-time sustainability officer, has developed a community garden space with beehives and uses compostable glasses. BBN Glasgow's annual awards recognise work by the city's licensed trade to enhance public safety and customer care. This year's event saw a total of 61 gold awards and 10 silver awards presented. This included 7 new BBN Glasgow members, which won gold awards in their first year, and 11 premises receiving a gold award for the first time. Overall gold awards were also presented to the Cat House Rock Club and the Garage in the late night category, the University of Strathclyde Students' Union Specialist category, Armstrong's as a community pub, Bag o' Nails, community pub with food, the Crystal Palace, the standard category, the Old Plane Tree, restaurant category, and the National Piping Centre, hotel category. The Best Newcomer award went to Slay in Glassford Street, and winners of the Best Designated Premises Manager of the Year category were Oliver McLean and Darren Marr, both of Howlin' Wolf, in Bath Street. Lisa Fisher of Glasgow City Council, which runs the Best Bar None Glasgow initiative, congratulated licensees on their success. She said the city's licensed premises and entertainment venues play an important role in Glasgow's economy, and their commitment to continually raising standards has been rightly recognised by the Best Bar None Glasgow Awards. We are absolutely delighted for our winning venues and, of course, for all the pubs, clubs, bars and hotels involved. It is particularly reassuring to have so many new venues signing up to Best Bar None Glasgow this year, and to honour the hard work, expertise and dedication that goes into running safe, enjoyable and welcoming establishments. Premises were inspected ahead of the awards by an independent assessor. They were judged on their efforts around prevention of crime and disorder, securing public safety, prevention of public nuisance, promotion of public health, and the protection of children from harm. The winners of the overall Gold BBN Glasgow Awards will now be entered into the National Best Bar None Awards. That article was by Taylor Murray. This is from the Glasgow Times of Tuesday the 7th of November from the news section. We can't have people freezing to death. This article is by Thomas Kerr. With the clocks changing and the nights fair drawing in, I can't help but shake the feeling that winter is suddenly very much upon us once again. As the temperature drops and eyes turn towards Christmas, one of the issues that is very much at the forefront of my mind is the growing homelessness crisis we see across our communities in Glasgow. It is tragic to see people sleeping rough and without a roof over their heads in 21st century Glasgow. Yet we are seeing precious little action from those in charge in the city chambers and the Scottish Parliament to go about getting a grip on this issue. Last week, Edinburgh City Council decided the situation in the capital had gotten so bad it had no option but to declare a housing emergency, which received cross-party support. This was something that was called for by charities such as Shelter Scotland, as well as by my colleague Miles Briggs, MSP. It should never have reached the point where the council felt that declaring an emergency was the only way to get SNP Green ministers to listen. And I hope they listen, because the situation in Glasgow is just as perilous and threatening to spiral out of control. Having worked closely with fantastic charities such as Homeless Project Scotland, which I met only this week to find out about its latest priorities, I know how many individuals and volunteers are going above and beyond to support Glasgow's homeless and most vulnerable. However, they simply cannot do it all on their own. The effects of the pandemic, as well as the global cost of living crisis, has meant tough times for many when it comes to paying the bills. And sadly for many, they fall through the cracks. SNP Green ministers' rhetoric on ensuring our communities have enough homes, particularly affordable ones, is good, but typically they have failed to deliver on their house-building targets. And the rent cap, headed up by Green Minister Patrick Harvey, has had the opposite effect of what he hoped it would achieve. It has actually put off many developers from pressing ahead with much-needed developments and has had an adverse impact on the market. For those not protected by the cap, rents actually rose by more than 13% in both Glasgow and Edinburgh in recent months, among the highest across the United Kingdom. Glaswegians, including myself, should not be routinely walking by people asking for spare change to put a roof over their head for that night. Charities deserve more support from the Council, as we should not forget that Homeless Project Scotland was not even granted an exemption for the low emission zone imposed in the city earlier this year. That shows you where our Council's priorities lie. All too often, housing and homelessness are far down the political priority list, but that certainly isn't the case when it comes to me. I was lucky to have enough support around me growing up in Cranhill, but if I didn't, then there was every chance I could have ended up on our streets. We cannot ignore this issue and hope it gets better. Let's redouble our efforts and ensure come Christmas we do not have Glaswegians sleeping on our streets, freezing to death. That article was by Councillor Thomas Kerr.
This is from the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 7th of November 2023, from the Lifestyle section. Asda workers rally at Glasgow store amid pay dispute. This article is written by Esther Tanay. Organised by GMB, the demonstration was part of an ongoing dispute between the supermarket and employees, as they claim men in distribution centres make £2 more per hour than women in retail. The crowd gathered at the Govan Superstore, waving flags, chanting and handing out stickers to shoppers to support their cause. Robert Davey, GMB organiser, said, "We're having to fight for female workers' pay. This is a discriminatory pay policy. They are paying those who work in retail, key workers, £2 less an hour than the men working in distribution. They would rather spend millions of pounds fighting this, spending it on lawyers, rather than paying their own workers what they deserve. Key workers across Scotland will be making sure we are all fed and comfortable during Christmas, and Asda will not give them the correct pay. We are calling on the company to stop the litigation and sit down at the table with us." An Asda spokesperson said, "At Asda, male and female colleagues doing the same jobs in stores are paid the same, and this is equally true in our distribution centres. We continue to defend these claims because retail and distribution are very different sectors with their own distinct skill sets and rates of pay." That article was written by Esther Tanay. This is from the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 7th of November 2023, from the Lifestyle section. Glasgow Celtic pub staff say goodbye before £228,000 makeover. This article is written by Rosie Lewis. A team behind a popular Glasgow pub has said goodbye after 8.5 years before it undergoes a huge makeover. The Crystal Bell in the city's Gallowgate is being taken over by Admiral Taverns, which has led to some of the current staff leaving the business. In a heartfelt statement, they thanked their colleagues and punters for their custom over the years. They said, "We were a fantastic team, and I personally thank them all for their hard work over the years. I will miss the ones who are staying on, and I wish the new management team all the very best." They added, "Thank you to all the amazing customers we have had over the years. We have lost a few as well, who are sadly missed. What a last weekend that was, definitely out with a bang." Locals were quick to wish the team well in their future ventures, with one saying, "Good luck to you all," leaving a big hole in the Trongate. Another added, "Best of luck to you all, there's nowhere like the Bell." It comes after we reported that the pub, which is popular with the Celtic fans due to its proximity to Parkhead, was undergoing a £228,000 makeover, which included a £20,000 soundproof ceiling, to now offer customers live entertainment. The bid was met with over a dozen objections at a local community council meeting, with residents voicing concerns over antisocial behaviour on the match days and the pub being heavily used by people on their way to football games. One comment said, "I can't hear my TV with the window open." Another concern was raised about people smoking in the vicinity. We also reported that the pub is set to temporarily close in order for the refurbishment to be carried out, with a reopening date expected in December. That article was written by Rosie Lewis.
This is from the Glasgow Times on the 8th of November 2023 from the news section, and the headline reads, "Door steward stood on man's head at Scotland team event." This article was by Connor Gordon. A thug off-duty door steward stood on a man's head at a private event for the Scotland national football team. Damien Lang, 44, lashed out at Connor Chatterton outside Nomad Bar in Glasgow city centre on November 16th, 2021. Lang was doing the guest list at the event for Steve Clarke's side, who had just beaten Denmark 2-0 at Hampden Park. He got involved with Mr. Chatterton, who was already being restrained by a door steward working there. He applied pressure on Mr. Chatterton's head, which caused the victim to suffer a facial injury. Lang, of the city's Castle Milk, was convicted in 2021 of attacking customer George Reid at Cushion nightclub. Lang threw Mr. Reid to the ground and put the window cleaner in a chokehold for 20 to 30 seconds during a struggle. He was also convicted of possession of a knife. Lang pleaded guilty at Glasgow Sheriff Court to his latest assault on Mr. Chatterton to his injury. The court heard that Mr. Chatterton was restrained by the employed door steward for the event before 3 a.m. Prosecutor Louise James said, "Lang approached Mr. Chatterton and forcefully put his foot on his head. His foot was briefly taken off of his head. Police attended a short time later to see Mr. Chatterton, who had blood on his face, being restrained by the door steward. Mr. Chatterton was also noted to have blood on his right eyebrow." Miss James added, "This was the result of Lang putting his foot on Mr. Chatterton's head. The victim was taken to hospital and he was treated with steady strips to his eyebrow." Lang had left before police arrived, but was later traced and arrested. Paul Gallagher, defending, told the sentencing, "On the night, he was not working at the bar. He was dealing with the guest list. It was a private function for the Scotland national team who were having an event there. The victim in this case has been causing issues outside, and Mr. Lang had become aware of this and security removed this person. That person came back with a can of deodorant and a lighter, which he was prosecuted for, and received a custodial sentence. Security took the man to the ground and had matters under control. Mr. Lang came out and acted in the manner described, which was excessive, and he accepts that. Sheriff Mark Maguire ordered Lang to do 225 hours of unpaid work. He said, "What you did was a dangerous act. You could only have been doing so to apply pressure. Had your foot slipped or the victim had moved, the consequences could have been catastrophic. You could have broken the man's neck. The fact that it wasn't isn't to do with your skill or expertise, or you just applying the right amount of pressure in the right place. The reason his neck wasn't broken was nothing more than sheer luck." This article was by Connor Gordon. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 8th of November 2023 from the news section, and the headline reads, "Glasgow teacher uses AI and ChatGPT to plan lessons." This article is by Ben Barry. A Glasgow primary school teacher admits using AI and ChatGPT saves him hours every week, but he can't see robots taking over anytime soon. David Grant, 27, reckons using technology has stopped him taking the job home and given him his life back. Contracted to work 35 hours a week, he says before he used AI and ChatGPT, he was working up to 60 hours. Now, David, who has been teaching for 5 years, says using the software has given him back some free time. But, despite the benefits, he says he doesn't think technology will replace in-person teachers. He said the average teacher works between 57 to 60 hours a week. I am only contracted to work 35 hours, and most teachers on average do 10 hours extra. Using AI has helped me cut back on the hours I would spend working at home. Now I don't take any work home with me. People are getting really hyped and saying it will replace teachers, but I don't see that happening. It's a tool to assist teachers. David introduced AI for learning earlier this year. He said, marking books is the biggest thing that takes the most time. With AI tools, it will give students feedback as they are doing the task. At the end of the day, you get that data, and then you can give the student their feedback. It streamlines the whole process. The scope for learning is incredible. It's almost like the invention of the internet. AI is something that can enhance our experiences as teachers. It will enhance teaching rather than hinder it. For me, I use it to reduce my workload and admin, which can be quite overwhelming from time to time. David has now started using AI to help him plan lessons and create PowerPoints and learning tools for pupils. He said, I have been using software called Curipod. It can create whole PowerPoints for you. It can generate whole lessons, but I have not done that myself yet. The best way I have used it is when I have finished a lesson too quickly. It has a last minute feature. You can click on that and it will add more slides to the PowerPoint for you. David said the transition to AI has come naturally, as most teaching has transitioned online after COVID. He said, it has been breakneck speed. With the whole pandemic, everything went digital. We continued to use a lot of that technology after the pandemic. For example, we use iPads and Chromebooks in the classroom a lot. The transition has come naturally. I played around with ChatGPT in my own personal life, and I thought, why can't I apply this for work? This article was by Ben Barry. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 8th of November 2023 from the news section, and the headline reads, Jet 2, Glasgow man so upset after ill wife refused holiday. This article was by Morgan Carmichael. A Parkhead man has been left so upset and frustrated after his ill wife was refused to go on a wee holiday of a lifetime. Wally Queen, 62, planned for his wife Ina to go to Benidorm for a week with her daughter and 3 grandchildren after struggling over the last year with lung disease sarcoidosis. Before the trip on October 29th, Wally said he spoke to several medics, including doctors at Queen Elizabeth Hospital and the Royal Infirmary, 4 oxygen nurses, and his wife's own GP in order for Ina to receive a fit-to-fly letter required by Jet 2 before flying. But when the family arrived at Glasgow Airport for their 4 a.m. flight, Wally claims Jet 2 staff said the 57-year-old's oxygen levels were not safe for flight, and she needed a doctor to fly with her if she wanted to go on the plane. Wally said, I'm so upset and I've just been left frustrated. Ina's not very happy either. We did everything by the book that Jet 2 asked of us. We hired the required oxygen tanks and provided necessary documents for proving that Ina could fly. It was a stressful 2 weeks going up and down to the hospital to get notes and hire oxygen too. When the woman at the check-in said my wife wasn't flying today, she said it was because she didn't think the oxygen levels were alright and that Ina could only fly if she had a doctor with her. It was 2 a.m. Where were we getting a doctor from? They were trying to overrule medical professionals, and I know they have their worries, but we have professional notes. They're overruling the people who know what they're talking about. In documents seen by the Glasgow Times, it can be confirmed that Ina received a fit-to-fly form from a lead respiratory nurse specialist at the NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde. Jet2 medical forms were also filled out correctly by a medical professional as required, and according to Wally, Hayes Travel, who organised the flights, received confirmation from Jet2 that Aina was safe to fly, but this came in on Monday, a day after the flight. The Jet2 website says the airline reserves the right to refuse travel if they believe a passenger is not fit to fly. But in the fallout of the refusal, it was not just Aina who was left not too happy. Wally said the grandkids were left greeting as they had to leave their nan behind. One of our grandsons has ADHD and he was so stressed with it all. Aina was trying to reassure them, but they were just all so upset they didn't want to go on holiday without her. Jet2 can't just do that to people. It's been so frustrating. The kids came back this week and said the holiday was fine, but they just missed their nan. The major UK airline informed the family that they could claim the money back for the holiday, which took them a long time to save for. But that's the last thing on Wally's mind. He said, they told us we could just claim the flight and travel money back, but I'm not even worried about that. What they've done is just not right. This has brought on so much anxiety for me, my wife and my grandkids. In response to the allegations, a Jet2 spokesperson said, we appreciate that this is an upsetting situation. However, after liaising carefully with independent medical aviation specialists, our team took this decision as the health, well-being and safety of our customers will always be our first priority. Jet2 have yet to confirm if bringing a doctor onto a flight is part of their guidelines. This article was by Morgan Carmichael. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 8th of November 2023 from the news section, and the headline reads, several roads in Glasgow to be shut on Remembrance Day for parade. This article was by Lauren Brownlee. Several road closures will be in place on Remembrance Day in Glasgow city centre. On Sunday, November 12th, a service will take place in the city's George Square, as well as a parade. Roads in the surrounding area will be shut to traffic from 5 AM to 4 PM. These include Anchor Lane for its whole length, Cochrane Street for its whole length, Dundas Street between West George Street and Dundas Lane, George Square all sides, George Street between George Square and Montrose Street, Hanover Street for its whole length, Montrose Street northbound between Ingram Street and Cochrane Street, Nelson Mandela Place for its whole length, North Hanover Street between George Square and Cathedral Street, South Frederick Street for its whole length, West George Street between Nelson Mandela Place and George Square. Bus lane regulations on North Hanover Street, northbound, and West George Street will be suspended due to the closures. This article was by Lauren Brownlee. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 8th of November 2023 from the news section, and the headline reads, this Glasgow restaurant is offering pizza for just £1. This article was by Rebecca Newlands. A Glasgow restaurant is offering pizza for just £1 to help families during the cost of living crisis. Severino's is running an offer for children who can stop by the Finiston Eatery after school and enjoy a slice of their New York style pizza for £1. The offer runs from 3 PM to 4 PM from Monday to Friday and covers Severino's margarita and vegan margarita options. Michelle Siviera, founder of Severino's, says, families are finding it tough right now, especially in the run-up to Christmas, but it's so important for youngsters to have something to look forward to. We've worked with schools since we launched 7 years ago, and this is just one of the many things that we do to help kids. We don't want there to be any barrier. Every child has the right to an affordable slice. This is about giving families more opportunities to enjoy important experiences together. Supporting communities around our restaurants is central to what we do. The buzz around our new Finiston restaurant and support from locals and visitors has been amazing. The launch of our £1 pizza slice initiative in the city is a chance to give back. After achieving success with 2 Edinburgh chains, Severino's opened their first Glasgow venue on Radnor Street in September this year. This article is by Rebecca Newlands.
That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Tune Review and to tell your friends about our service.